Week 5 update, post-aortic valve replacement surgery. Since my post-op video that I posted last week, I also posted a video of the sound of my heart ticking. I made a note on that it is a little bit louder and harsher because I just used my phone recorder. But I would say my valve is probably on the loud side of this. I think it just depends on body types and who knows how loud it'll be, but if I'm quiet, you can probably actually hear it now, just kind of in the ambient noise. But it doesn't bother me. I think it's a great, nice, relaxing sound. I mean, I think that's, everybody may feel different about that, but like I said, that's what my valve sounds like. It doesn't bother me. I don't have any issues going to sleep, but it can be heard. It can be heard in a room and across the room at times as well. So, I think that's just part of what a mechanical valve is. But going back from the very beginning, I wanted something that was a one and done that would last me the rest of my life and keep up with my active lifestyle. So just to point out a couple notes on that video of the ticking. Let's get into what's been going on in week 5 since I've had the surgery. It's week 5 in a few days, but I wanted to make this after I had my cardiologist appointment, which I had yesterday. And so I'll kind of break this up into a few different areas, but I'll start with that cardiologist appointment and then kind of go back and talk about what's happened in the last week. First off, it was a great report. Everything looked good. My blood pressure was actually in a very good range. And so I am, my cardiologist says at this point, I don't need to start back the benazepril. So I've been taking for really the past 20 years since I found out about this valve deficiency. I've been taking amlodipine and benazepril in a combination. And so I was up to, before the surgery, the 10 milligrams of amlodipine in the morning, so 20 milligrams of benazepril in the morning and 40 at night. But he said that now the amlodipine seems to be holding it to where it needs to be. And so I'm off benazepril after 20 years, which I think is great. And, hopefully it will all maintain that way. My, one of the things that I did talk to him about is my heart rate is still elevated. It's probably about 20 beats a minute higher at my resting level, and really at a lot of activity. Sometimes even on my walks, it can jump up to 130 per minute based on how hot it is outside, which in Georgia right now is quite hot. So I try to avoid the heat of the day. He seemed to think that as I started doing more and more exercise, that would come down, but we would keep an eye on it. So, that those were the good reports there. I'm going to go back. I'm scheduled to do an echo in 2 months, and then I will go back and meet with my cardiologist in 3 months, so a month after the echo, just for another check-in. The other thing, as far as how doctors and everything like that go, INR has been doing well. So I was going 2 times a week. Last week I went once, and my INR was great. It was 2.8 last week, and I actually went yesterday after my cardiologist appointment, and it was still right around 3. And so the community clinic nurse said, hey, let's go to 2 weeks now, and as long as everything's good in 2 weeks, we'll shift to the monthly appointment. So all that's moving in the right direction. Now, again, I'm still in that 3 months post-surgery where they're going to keep my INR between 2 and 3, and then once we get past the 3 months, we'll drop it down to closer to 2. The INR staying around 2. I apologize for the noise. My kids are out and opening the garage door below me. So anyway, INR looks good. I think we've kind of found my dose to keep me at that around 3. And so that's 12.5 milligrams every day except for Monday and Friday, and then they have me on 7.5 milligrams. And again, that will change as I lower my INR goal from 3 to 2. The other thing, big news that came out of the cardiologist appointment yesterday is they did send over the referral to the cardiac rehab. And so he said it may take a couple weeks for them to get back to me, but I've already started trying to contact them directly to get in there quicker, because I'm ready to start pushing myself a little harder, but I want to make sure I don't do anything that sets me back. So I've been more cautious, and I think I've talked about this in a previous video, more cautious because I don't want to set myself back, but I'm ready to jump forward and do that. And I think, again, part of this whole thing that I've noticed, and just as a side note, and this is where I am today in 2023 in Georgia with the healthcare I've chosen. So this is all my experience, but it has gotten a little bit of frustration with how disjointed like the medical community is and everything else, because my cardiologist is part of this system, my surgeon was part of a different system, the rehab is actually part of another system, and so nobody quite talks to each other. The notes are there, but I just have to kind of follow up with everybody and make sure they're moving things forward, which is frustrating. I think that's, again, this is my experience. That's the state of what's going on right now. So I would say, if you're in this situation, make sure you're on top of that. It does get frustrating. The other thing that's been very frustrating to me is my leave and disability, working with the disability insurance company, back and forth with the doctor, and having to go back almost every week to show them I'm not ready to go back to work. So again, lots of frustrations around that. I think that's just because of the bureaucracy that's in place. And so I've been battling that this week. But again, that's kind of a side note as far as how I'm doing and recovery is going. So again, cardiologist appointment, everything was great. INR level is still good. Able to drop one of my blood pressure medicines after 20 years of taking it, which I'm very excited about because this is just showing more and more progress. And then the referral to rehab, which once I'm finished recording this video, I'm going to call back up to the rehab to see if I can speed that process up any, because I'm really ready to go and to be able to do that in a monitored, safe way. So that will be hopefully the next step that will, maybe even in my next video, the 6-week check-in, that'll be part of it. But the other thing, so let's just talk about how recovery is going since the last video, and really on my energy and exercise. I mean, that's really the two big things that I can kind of think of. Energy levels are way up over where they have been. I mean, it's almost night and day, and I'm still not back to where I'm going to be. You may even be able to tell in this video I have more energy. So it's 9:45 a.m. I've already done a morning walk. My mornings are still more high energy than my afternoons. I think for a couple of reasons. One, obviously I'm still recovering, so there is, my body's still having to slow down. But also, I've said it before, it is hot in Georgia. The humidity's back up this week. We're in the mid 90s, and so that middle of the day is quite rough, which kind of goes to what my exercise has been. So really in the past week, I've been walking between 6 and 8 miles a day. And I try to do that in 3 different walks. I do a morning walk. I try to do a midday walk, but again, with the heat like it is, last week was a little bit lower humidity, so it was easier. But maybe I'll try to get in a walk before lunch, just because it's still not quite so hot. And then I'll have a walk once the sun goes down in the evenings when it's a little bit cooler. Typically, I try to walk about 30 minutes per block, but depending on how I feel, I've been going a little bit longer than that. This morning I actually walked for an hour and got a 3-mile walk in because I know it's going to be very hot today. But if I look at my activity tracker, I've been averaging in the past 7 days, or since the last video, about 13,000 steps a day, which I'm very happy with. And again, the energy to do that has been excellent. Like I feel great when I'm out walking, no shortness of breath. Sometimes I feel like I could do more. There are times I feel like I want to just start running. But again, I'm trying to make sure that I don't do something silly and set myself back. So once the cardiac rehab starts, that'll help me to be able to monitor that more and be able to push myself more safely. On the same point with energy, one of the things that drains me outside of the heat absolutely drains me. Even sitting at my son's baseball practice in the afternoon. If I sit there and it's 95 degrees, just sitting, I can see my heart rate going way up, and so that's draining. But also, it's draining to be around people, and I mean that it's a different level of energy and awareness and kind of being on. And so, even when I'm, when I've been at church, talking to friends and with more than one-on-one, my energy does drop down. So I think that's going to be something just to continue to push and monitor. But I think it's just because, again, mentally, the energy is there. Whereas when I'm walking, I can just zone out and go straight physically. The other thing on top of walking, I've been doing more stretching this week and more movement with my upper body, which has been good. It has caused a little bit of pain in my chest, but Tylenol has been able to take care of that when I do need it. And so that's been very manageable. So again, ready to continue to push that. Let's see, driving. Again, that was the big thing from the post-op visit update. I have been driving, so I've been able to drive around, take my kids to practice, drive to the park to be able to walk, run some errands around town. Again, some of these things will take the energy out of me, but it's nice to have that freedom. I'm still getting used to the seatbelt rubbing on my chest. I'm still, so I have chest hair coming in, and there's a little tender on the incision, and it just psychologically feels weird. So short drives have all I've been doing. I'm still working on my range of motion. I can move and see everything I need to see quite fine, but I still want to get back to complete range of motion. But again, being able to drive and get out and run errands has been great mentally for me to continue to improve. The other thing along the way of energy is, sometimes I still need a nap. Again, my mornings, I feel great. I get up in the morning, have my morning coffee, do a walk, do some stretches, I can do some errands or either do some things in the house, some cleaning or some little projects. After lunch, I do get a little bit tired. And so there's been a few days where I've taken a nap. There's days where I don't, which is great, but then there are days that, I just feel like I need to. So I'll lay down, I'll read a little bit and take a nap. And one of the things that I've noticed for me is I'll lay down and I may set a timer for an hour and a half thinking, okay, hour and a half nap and I'll be good. And an hour into that, I wake up and I feel awake and alert. And that's very different than a couple weeks ago when I would take a nap and it might be a 2-hour nap or more. And I would wake up and I think I've mentioned, I couldn't get going. It almost felt like a lead blanket was on me, and it took me almost an hour to feel like I can get up and going. Well, now, again, I'm waking up on my own in an hour or so from a nap, and I'm able to jump up and start doing whatever I want to. So that's an improvement. And then even on top of that, before the surgery, the fatigue had gotten me where I would take a 2-hour nap every day and still be fine at night. And so, I see this as an improvement, and I hope this continues. I hope I can get to a point where I don't need that nap, and I think that'll happen as recovery continues along. But again, it's very encouraging to me that my body can have an hour and feel like, okay, I'm good. So to me, that's big progress. It helps me. And overall too, I've been sleeping better at night. Still not trying to sleep on my stomach, but I can sleep on either side, sleep on my back, and basically sleep all the way through the night. Some of the quality of sleep might not be there quite yet, but it is coming back, and nighttime has been, relatively easy for me. I think overall, that's really what's been happening this week. I think the big picture of it is week 5 has been, to me, an amazing jump in energy, just being excited and ready to go, a lot more walking, and then now I'm excited to start the next step of that rehab and hopefully get into the cardiac rehab soon and maybe start running some, and I do have the clearance to lift up to 25 pounds with each arm, so hopefully get into a little bit of lightweight work, something to get my energy back up. So that's the big thing. Again, if I look at it, there's still a little bit of soreness in my chest, but it's in my muscles because I've been moving more. The incision It's a little tender still, but I think some of that might be even psychological because I know that that's there. Chest hair growing back in still is itching and terrible on my shirt, but hopefully that will come back in fully soon and I'll be past that. But overall, I feel great. I still need to work on building up my mental energy, especially as I'm getting ready to go back to work. So that's going to be something that I have to monitor. And like I said, just overall a huge jump. Looking back, it is amazing how short of a time this has been. Obviously, going through it, there are days that felt very long, weeks that felt very long. But the encouragement is, I mean, it will turn around. Be persistent in the activity you're doing. Be persistent in the rest you're doing, and you will bounce back. So I think that's a big thing. And like I said, the other thing I mentioned at the very beginning, the valve tick. Again, mine seems to be quite loud. It does not bother me. Could bother other people, but I also know there are other people in the same situation that I'm in that have the same valve and you don't hear it. And I think it has to do with body acoustics and positioning and all that stuff. So, you know, I don't think there's a exact science around it, but again, I'm very happy with my choice, and you know, we'll continue to enjoy, hopefully, that the nice ticking sound that I get there, because I know that's my assurance. Hey, I'm on the other side of this, and we'll continue to get better. So that's my week 5 and change post-surgery update. I'll hopefully my next video, you know, my 6-week update, will include a cardiac rehab. Fingers are crossed there, and it may also include some of the me going back to work if that does happen. If I do kick back into that. So again, any questions, you know, please shoot me a message. I'm happy to hear that. Leave them in the comments, and that's it.